What's up, y'all? It's Celeste. Before I get into the actual topic of this video, I want to draw your attention down to the description box where you'll see some links to some voices and resources that I've been following in regards to the Black Lives Matter movement and racial justice and that sort of thing. So if you want to check those out, again, those will be in the description box below. So I've now been on testosterone for 18 months total. I've been on and off several times over the last a little more than 3 years, and if you want to watch the whole process or journey of that, or at least peruse it, you can check out that playlist up there. But most recently, I've been back on for about 8.5 months, and before that I was off for 9 months. So I've now been back on for almost as long as I was off. And my last update was in March, which was at the 15-month mark. So most of what I talk about in this video is going to be changes that I've noticed just in the last 3 months or so. And just for reference, my dosage averages around 75 to 80 milligrams a week. So I'll start with my voice, which definitely has changed a little bit more in the last 3 months. And I'll go ahead and put up my usual comparison timeline here. And since this is the 18-month video, and that's kind of a nice round number, I'll do a little bit longer timeline to show a little bit more of the evolution of my voice since the beginning.
Today is March 14th, 2017, and this is my voice pre-T. Today is January 24th, 2018, and this is my voice 4 months on T. Today is March 22nd, 2018, and this is my voice 6 months on T.
Today is May 21st, 2018, and this is my voice 8 months on T. Today is October 19th, 2019, and this is my voice 10 months on T. Today is December 15th, 2019, and this is my voice 1 year on T. Today is March 14th, 2020, and this is my voice 1 year and 3 months on T. Today is April 18th, 2020, and this is my voice 16 months on T. Today is May 15th, 2020, and this is my voice 17 months on T. Today is June 13th, 2020, and this is my voice 18 months on T. To me, it's definitely a little bit lower sounding, but it's more than that. It's that it both sounds and feels a little bit stronger and richer and just kind of fuller to me than it did previously. And I think it's just kind of gradually settling down more. As it shifts down more, it's also kind of settling and becoming a little bit less shaky and so on. Although that does still fluctuate a little bit. And I actually haven't been taking singing lessons for probably 5 to 6 weeks, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but basically I just kind of got a little bit burnt out and frustrated and felt like I was kind of beating my head against a wall, not that I wasn't getting anywhere. I was progressing, but it was just so slow, and I just was feeling like it was the struggle that I was having was negatively impacting my ability to grow. And so I decided to kind of take a step back from it for a little bit, and I'm definitely not done with singing lessons, but I just needed to kind of take a break and reevaluate some things and try to kind of let my emotions around singing, I don't know, not calm down, but like I need to work through some things that I'm working on that it was kind of hard to work on at the same time as I was trying to sing, because it was like triggering those things. Anyway, because of that, I don't have the same outside evaluation kind of that I have been having ongoing as far as like the shifting of my voice and the range of my voice and that kind of thing. But just from my own observation and my own feeling on it, to me it does feel like it has shifted down even more as far as the notes that I'm able to sing. And this is not necessarily like singing in a song, but just like notes that I'm able to sing in exercises and that kind of thing. I'm able to get lower than I was before, and the notes that I'm singing lower are also easier for me to hit. I don't feel like I'm reaching down or like I'm kind of like making it happen as much as I was before. And I do feel like I'm losing a little bit toward the top, maybe not entirely, but like I think I can probably get it back somewhat, but just everything is kind of shifting down. So where my head voice starts earlier now when I'm doing like exercises. And all along since I've been taking voice lessons, I do my exercises based on the exercises that I did during my lessons. I record all my lessons and then I edit down like the exercises that we did and then use those pretty much every day to like sing against. So because of that, I'm pretty easily able to tell like what I was doing at the time that I did those in the lessons, which the ones that I'm doing now are from like March and April. So I'm able to pretty easily tell like how different I sound at the parts of the exercise, like on the specific notes that I was singing in the exercises. So it definitely has changed, and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm happy with it continuing to change, and I hopefully won't lose too much at the top. I probably will lose something, but I don't want to lose too much. I do want to still be able to sing. I mean, really, ideally, I would like to sing like every note possible, but we'll see what happens with that. Next, I'll talk about hair. I definitely have had some more facial and body hair growth in the last few months, and I, at this point, I'm not actually shaving every day because we're in quarantine, or I guess we're not technically in quarantine anymore because Florida is stupid and we started unquarantining like way earlier than we should have. But anyway, I'm pretty much quarantining. I'm still going to the store and like doctor's appointments and stuff, but I'm not really going anywhere else. So because I'm not seeing anybody very often, I actually am shaving like every like 2 to 3 days probably. But as far as like how it would be noticeable, I think I pretty much need to shave every day to not have any noticeable stubble at all, because it does start growing, especially like in this area, pretty much overnight. It's not very long, but it's like my hair is pretty dark, so, and my skin is very, very light. So it does show up. And I think in my last update, I think the video that I took was from not shaving for 1 day. And this time I did it for not shaving for 4 days, or it was 4 days after shaving. During the earlier part of the quarantine, when I really wasn't going anywhere or seeing anybody for quite some time, I decided to take advantage of that and go 2 whole weeks without shaving just to see what it would look like. So this is what my face looked like after not shaving for 2 weeks at around 16 to 16 and a half months on T. And then pretty much the same with the body hair. It's still like mostly in the same places. It's just kind of continuing to grow and darken and thicken a little bit, but not overly much. It's still not particularly noticeable, especially on my chest and like stomach, like torso. That area is not particularly noticeable until you get like really up close. Like in these videos you can see it, but when I'm just standing somewhere, like you would see the part like around and underneath my belly button. And by the way, that part I actually am trimming now, so that's why it's a little bit shorter actually than it was 3 months ago. But other than that, like it's not really noticeable, so it doesn't really bother me yet, but I am still keeping an eye on it. And the part on my legs is pretty much the same. Like it's a little bit darker and thicker especially toward the shins and calves area. And I guess it's probably grown a little bit more on my thighs, but it's not like a huge leap, but it's just a little bit more. I definitely have gained some weight in the last few months, and as always, like I never can say like this is from tea, because everything else in my life is exactly the same, because it never is. And especially right now, because I obviously haven't been going to CrossFit. They were closed for a while and they've since reopened, but I don't feel comfortable going back yet. And honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going to be going back at all, because they closed the location that was right near me and I don't necessarily want to drive as far to go to the other location. And I don't know, I don't even know when I'm going to feel like going back to a gym at all anyway. But because of that, I've been just doing stuff at home, and I've been doing pretty well with my workouts. Like, I've been keeping up, and I feel like I'm still like doing pretty well as far as like gaining muscle and that kind of thing. But I'm not doing as much like cardio and intense stuff as I was at CrossFit, so that's probably a factor. I also have been eating, not like a ton, but I've been eating a lot of Cliff Bars because I really like those. And I think this is partly because of tea and partly because of emotional stuff around the quarantine and like everything that's happening in the world. But I definitely have been a lot hungrier lately. And again, I do think part of that is from tea, because I don't know, it just feels a little bit, it doesn't feel as much emotional all the time. Like, sometimes I do feel like I want to eat because I'm like bored or like uncomfortable, and eating would make me feel better. And other times I feel really hungry a lot. So I think it's a combination. And the other thing that I've noticed as far as like metabolism and stuff is that I'm very warm all the time. Like, that was already the case, but it seems like it's getting worse. And I mean, part of that is because now it's summer and I live in Florida, where it's very hot all the time and it's pretty miserable. It's not even necessarily that I like sweat more or anything. It's just that I feel warm. Like, I feel, my body feels warm. I feel like we run the air, and I have like, when I sleep at night, we have the air on, and then I have a fan on me the whole night, and I'm still hot, and it's just like, I don't know, I'm just hot all the time. And we're running the air cooler than we used to, and it's still like that. So that's been fun. So anyway, part of the fat that I've gained has been in my face and like around my jawline and stuff. And that's kind of what happens anyway on tea, at least for me. It's kind of interesting because when, like, the changes that happen in people's faces on tea is just redistribution of fat mostly. It's not, your actual bones don't change. And the ultimate kind of result tends to be that the face gets more angular and kind of squared off and things like that. And that sounds like it would mean that you had less fat there. It seems like that would be like, for things to be angular, it seems like there would be like more like bony lines as opposed to fat in places. But for me, it has been kind of the opposite. When I'm not on tea, I seem to have a slimmer face, and when I'm on tea, I get a little bit, not necessarily, I guess kind of rounder like here, but it is a little bit more square, I guess, but it doesn't seem particularly angular, but somehow it does seem more masculine, so I don't know exactly what that is. But I have been getting read as male and like called sir and stuff like that quite a bit more recently when I'm going out. But I don't know how much of that is just from tea and how much is from the fact that I'm wearing a mask over half of my face all the time, every time I go anywhere, which is interesting because I wouldn't think that this part of my face would be the particularly like feminine, red, feminine coated kind of area of my face. But for some reason, either it is, or I just am getting read as male more anyway, and it has nothing to do with the mask, but I think it probably does have something to do with it. But anyway, I also was washing my hands in the women's bathroom one time, and a woman came and opened the door and like looked at me and then left. So that was a little awkward. I do think my body has gotten a little bit more masculine shaped too, which is, I think, partly from tea, but it's not necessarily that like being on tea automatically makes the muscle and fat go to all the right places. There probably is some element of that, but for me, I think a lot of it is more just having more muscle growth, especially in my upper body. I don't know, but both in my own observation, like looking in the mirror and seeing pictures and stuff, and comments that Jason has made, and then also like when I'm out and about, just getting read more as male. I feel like something about my body shape, as well as maybe the way that I'm like carrying myself and stuff, which is probably informed by my body shape and where the muscles are and stuff like that, seems to be leaning a little bit more toward masculine. So it's been cool to get read as male and like be called sir and stuff. Not that I want to be seen as male all the time, because I don't, but at this point it still is definitely not a constant thing. Like, that's still not really the majority of the time there's still very, very many times that I'm out that I'm called she or whatever. Again, because of COVID and everything else in the world and whatnot, my mood is a little bit hard to track right now because, like, there are valid reasons for me to be feeling various things, and so whatever. But I as usual, I don't really think that tea has had an effect on my mood. If it's had any effect, it's probably a positive one. I don't think it's had any negative effect. I definitely don't feel like my moods are particularly hormonal based. It just feels, I don't know, mostly circumstance based, and somewhat other things like the weather does affect my mood and things like that, but I don't feel like my mood is, I don't know. It just doesn't feel hormonal to me. I don't have any science to back that up. It just feels different to me. So that's my summary of mood changes or lack thereof on tea. And all that's left to talk about now is the TMI stuff. So if you don't want to hear about things like libido and physical changes in my nether regions, then you can skip to this timestamp and you won't have to hear about any of that. So the kind of short version of this is that both of those have increased in the last few months. I'm still asexual. I'm still not interested in being with anybody else, but just my like physical libido has increased, and it's not like a problem or anything. It just is kind of more noticeable, like a noticeable increase. And I definitely have had some more growth there, and I don't really know how to quantify it. I didn't measure it, but it definitely is growing more noticeably to me. And it's interesting because for a lot of people that I've talked to and like read their experiences and stuff, it seems like that is often a very early change for a lot of people, and they have like really significant growth pretty early on. And for me, that part has actually been, it's not that it took a long time to kick in. It started fairly early, but it just has been very gradual. And I don't know if that's like kind of like analogous to how it would be if I had been like a cis male, like if I would have been small anyway, like I don't know. This is one of the harder things to talk about, not just because of the like vulnerability aspect of it, but because it's one of the things that there is like the least amount out there of like frame of reference to go on, because with a lot of other things, there are so many pictures and videos and things like that. And with this, there's not that much out there other than if you want to look up like porn or something. But I don't have a lot to go on as far as comparing to other people or like where I am in my journey and that kind of thing. So everything is kind of just based on what people say. And so I think mine is a little bit slower than some other people's, but it's still happening. So that pretty much is it for the TMI stuff. I think that does it for this video. I always feel like I'm forgetting something, but hopefully I covered most of the stuff that I've noticed. If you can think of anything I forgot that you want to know about, and or if you have any other questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And again, check out the description box for some cool resources on Black Lives Matter, which I certainly hope that you have been following and, doing as much as you can to support whatever that may be in whatever capacity you can. And yeah, I think that covers it. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, you can hit the like button and hit subscribe if you want to see more of my future content, which will include more future tea updates. I'm going to be doing, pretty soon, I'm going to be doing a 1 year off Accutane video, because I am, actually I think either today or tomorrow is like the year mark for that. And I have a whole bunch of other things that if I can get my head together to put into video form, I would like to do. So if you want to see any of those, you can subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.